What's up, everybody, and welcome to Growing Up Gaming, your weekly podcast where we meet a new person of the internet to discuss their childhood with gaming and how it inspired their lives today. My name is Mitch Power. Again, thank you guys so much for returning each and every week to the show. Hope you're subscribing there on iTunes or Google Play or Spotify or YouTube, which if you're checking me out any of those methods, I really do appreciate it. This week on the show, we have our guest. His name is Joey Craig. Some of you may know him on Twitter, though, as Skyward King. Through the help of Delvin Cox, former guest of the show, he was nice enough to connect me with Joey so that way we can have some fun discussions about his past, including how he got his Game Boy Color, which is probably the craziest method I've ever heard. You know, like I don't think anybody else could share the same story that he did, but you know, he shares that as well as all of his other stories with us. If you guys want to be on the show just like he was, go ahead and send me a tweet at MitchPower1116 on Twitter or at the podcast Twitter page, which is at GUG Podcast on Twitter. Without further ado, let's get things started with Joey Craig. Do you remember what initially got you started playing games? Was it like a family member? Was it a friend? Was it some cool magazine or commercial you saw on TV? Like, what got you started?
Yeah, let's see. What was it? I think the oldest memories of me playing video games I think it was either my brother. He gave me his Game Boy. That was the longest. I think that was like the first game device I ever had. The first Game Boy. I ended up trashing it.
Just because you were a kid and you just ruined it.
Yeah, I didn't know what I had. I couldn't appreciate it. Of course, now like if only he would have given it to me like maybe 2 years later. Then I was fully aware and I took care of everything. Like I have some of my oldest stuff in it. I keep everything in boxes and some of my oldest discs and everything is just all together. But around that time, I didn't know what I had and I ended up putting it in the toilet just to see what would happen to it. And so so that got destroyed. And but after that, I think the first console I ever had was Super Nintendo. Yep, I ended up getting that for Christmas from my dad with like 5 or 6 games. And yeah, that was just like the family game system. Like, well, it was mine, but you know, it was the only one there. So if people wanted to play Mario Brothers, well, hey, we had to move it downstairs to the big TV.
Right. Yeah, I like how that's also funny too, because when it comes to like Christmas gifts, like this is mine, but remember I'm letting you guys play on it. Like you got to make sure you throw it out there in case somebody wants to get all shitty on you. Just be like, yeah, remember that's mine. Like that had my name on it at Christmas.
Exactly.
Like, did you remember what games you got when you first? I mean, I'm assuming you got Mario World just because that was like the tie-in with everything. But like, do you remember what else you got with the system?
Oh yeah. It was Mario All Stars plus Mario World, so all those classics.
That's the greatest combo game ever. Period. Like,
yeah,
I don't think you can get. You know, obviously there's like other games and bundles, but like, dude, no, that's like 4 perfect games, like 5 with Lost Worlds, but that game is okay. But no, dude, the other 3 games plus Mario World. Phew.
Yeah, it was crazy. That was the game we played the most. That was just the family game. We just be sitting there and passing the controller around. Either that or, I mean, I didn't actually own Street Fighter, but Street Fighter was that was like one of the games that everybody in my family, like Thanksgiving, 4th of July, everybody would just be huddled around the TV and just having Street Fighter tournaments. It was good times, even though I didn't know how to play at all. But the games, with the games that I actually owned, let's see, I had Super Turrican, Warlock, Judge Dredd.
Judge Dredd. I bet that was a fun one.
Yeah, it was fun, but it was hard. Like, I love the music, I love the vibe of it, but at that age, I just couldn't do it, especially Super Turrican. And there was another one. It was like a side scroller, like shooter, like you're flying in the air on some levels. And then, I don't know, it was like I had 2 robot games. I can't remember the name of it, but yeah, those are the games that I started out with. And the crazy thing is like, I didn't get that many, I didn't get a lot more games for my Super Nintendo, because it's like shortly after that, I kind of moved on to other games. I started playing my, I think I got like a original PlayStation soon after that, and I got a Game Boy. When did the Game Boy Color come out? Do you know when that came out?
I want to say it was 90. It was probably around like 95 or 96, because I remember that being a big deal, and especially with Pokemon and stuff. Like, I mean, that was, of course, for me at least, that was my shit. Like, that was like, I mean, when it was Pokemon, like, the only thing I remember on Game Boy really was like Pokemon. Oh, it was actually way later, actually. I just looked it up. It was 98. Damn. It was way later than I thought. I guess like 95, 96 is when I was starting to play Game Boy in general. But I remember having like the older, it was a Game Boy, it wasn't color, but it was like a Pokemon edition that like my grandma got me at Sam's Club or some shit. It's like some part of a bundle. But yeah, Game Boy Color release date in North America was 98.
Oh yeah. Yeah. See, so around that time I got my, I don't think I got my Super Nintendo until I was like 5 or 6. So just around it, just in those couple years, I got like, a decent amount of stuff. I got my Super Nintendo, I have my original PlayStation, and my Game Boy Color, which, yes, that was pretty much just the Pokemon machine. And like the crazy thing about that, right, was how I got it. Because my mom, for years and years and years and years, she would collect Kool-Aid points. You remember Kool-Aid points?
Oh my God, the little dude. Hold on, who the fuck collected Kool-Aid points? Like, dude. Oh my God, they were little like stamp-looking things. They were like little. They were like stamp-sized things that you just cut off Kool-Aid packets. Like,
exactly, yeah. But everybody would throw them away. But she actually cut them off, and she would put them in a bag. And we didn't know what we were going to use them for, but we just knew one day. Kool-Aid happened to have, some really good stuff. They had like these really cool beach towels and shirts, and they had a teal colored Game Boy Color.
Yep.
With it was like Super Mario Bros. Or something.
Sure.
Right. So we ended up cashing in thousands of Kool-Aid points we had, and got a whole bunch of stuff. And I ended up getting that because I was the youngest, but everyone was like, why does he get to get the biggest thing? Like, but it was like, I was the youngest, and that's what I wanted. So I ended up getting that. And so that's how I ended up getting that. That was crazy. And I ended up getting Pokemon Gold version, and later on my Link cable, and man, that was just, so many good times on that.
I'm almost positive that everybody just chucked those Kool-Aid points in the garbage, because nobody probably thought they accumulated enough to actually get something cool. Like, I bet everybody who bought it was just like, man, no, what are they going to ask for? Like 10,000? Nobody's going to have that many. So they just fucking threw them away. Like, nobody gave a shit about them. When in reality, I'm sure if most people just saved them, they probably did actually have a lot of points that they could have had. Like,
yes.
Oh my
like, people
God.
go through that. You know how many, like, if you're buying those, what is like 2 packs for $1, or I don't know how much they are now. I don't drink Kool-Aid anymore, but
yeah, I think when you become like, I think when you get to like age like 9 or something, you graduate to like Sunny D or just soda in general. You're like, well, fucking Kool-Aid. I just bought Kool-Aid the other day, and it felt weird. Like, I bought little Kool-Aid squirter things for my daughter. I was like, dude, I haven't fucking bought anything that has said Kool-Aid on it in quite some time.
But yeah, man, like, people, they missed out, because I mean, you're buying so many of those packets every week or every other week, or you're just getting stacks of them because they're dirt cheap. And so, of course, at the time you're thinking, okay, this is just 1 point, 2 points. But yeah, if you're doing that and you're not even paying attention, you're just thinking, okay, well, at some point it's going to be worth something. Yes, you'll have thousands. People don't even realize how much of that crap they actually drink. And so,
yeah, how much sugar. And they're like, by the way, that little pack added about, 7 pounds of sugar to your body. So yeah, it's okay. But you're a kid. You burn that shit off, right? You're fine.
It was a mess, man.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. What's funny is, like, I actually had, I'm not going to say a similar thing, but what's really funny is, like, the other day, not the other day, but like Monster, for example. I basically drink a Monster a day. Like, I go to Sam's Club, I buy the big ass case, and I just drink at least, I drink one a day. I'm not one of those psychos that drinks them constantly throughout the day, because that's just fucking weird, and nobody should be doing that, because that's obviously going to cause some like next level cancer in 20 years that we don't know about yet. But I drink one a day. And I remember somebody was saying the tabs or whatever, like if you save the tabs, you can cash them in for like, whatever. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. And I remember just starting to like save them just for bullshit, just threw them in like a bag. And I was like, we'll save them and whatever. And then all of a sudden, like, Monsters stopped doing the promotion. They're just like, we're not doing that anymore. And I was like, what the fuck? I got like 200 tabs or something. I got a whole bag full of them. I'm like, this sucks. And then what's weird is that for whatever reason, even though the promotion ended, I still like kept saving them just out of habit. I was just like, I'll just keep doing this. And then like 2 years later, the promotion's back. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. And I checked. I had like 600 tabs. I was like,
good
holy
God.
Shit. And I'm like, dude, I can get like again, it's just bullshit Monster items. It's like shirts, hats, like backpacks. And I'm like, I could get like every item on here if I wanted to.
But it didn't actually have that one like major item. It's like usually they have the bull crap.
It's all pre-marketing things for Monster for you to wear. It's like, oh, hey, here's a shirt with our logo on it. Why don't you wear that? Like, I was like, where's the cool shit? Where's like a Bluetooth speaker? Where's like
exactly something? They got to give you something to work for. You know what I'm saying? Right? So you can keep going to buy it.
Exactly. I have all these tabs that I don't need all these fucking shirts. Like, I've put this much Monster energy in my body. Please give me something cool. No, I can get like a t-shirt or a backpack, like a drawstring backpack. I was like, I guess. Like, I was asking my wife, I'm like, do any of these shirts look cool to you? Like my kids don't drink Monster. They're 10 and 13. I'm not letting them drink Monster, but I was like, do any of these shirts look cool to you? Like, I don't even know what to spend it on. But yeah, dude, cool 8 points getting you Game Boys, dude. That's way better.
Oh yeah. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I never. Who would have thought that my first Game Boy would have came from Kool-Aid points? But hey, I'm glad that worked out for me.
Right? Exactly. And I mean, again, it brought you joy and stuff. One thing you brought up that I thought was funny is you mentioned Street Fighter. I swear to God, I think Street Fighter was like, if you had a Super Nintendo, Street Fighter was your jam because Mortal Kombat didn't have blood. I'm almost convinced of it because, like, for whatever reason, when I was a kid, I had a Genesis. It was all Mortal Kombat, like, all fucking day. Like, I'm not saying Street Fighter was bad because I had Street Fighter 2, but for whatever reason, I love the shit out of Mortal Kombat. Just like and again, maybe it was just, again, Street Fighter was more of like, I'm not going to say a real fighting game, but like, that was more grounded in like tournaments and stuff like that. Mortal Kombat had it too, but I mean, also Mortal Kombat was popular because you could do crazy shit. You know what I mean? Like, that was the only reason why it was popular. But I remember somebody saying on Super Nintendo, like, at that time, like, it didn't have blood, and I was like, what are you talking about? Like, what do you mean it doesn't have blood? And then ever since then, I bet you if you had a Super Nintendo, you just love Street Fighters so much because, like, at the time, Mortal Kombat was just kind of a neutered down version of it because Nintendo was so scared you'd see blood in their game.
So you're saying that the version, I thought they did like green blood.
Yeah, they did green blood and they had like sweat, and they were like, at certain things they were like, it's sweat, not blood. And I'm like, well, that's fucking weird. Because, like, again, when it's Mortal Kombat, it's like, I don't know. Like, I know people like who had the Super Nintendo version of Mortal Kombat were like, at least in my school, were like jealous of people that had the Sega Genesis version because it was like, no, this is actually like how it is in the arcades and all that stuff. But also, too, that's what caused all these moms to start freaking out about video games all of a sudden. But I just remember, like, I don't know if it was me, but, like, Street Fighter on Super Nintendo, just, if I felt like if a friend had a Super Nintendo, they were all about Street Fighter, man. Like, they loved it. And, of course, there was 90 versions of Street Fighter that came out for Super Nintendo, and, you had those friends that bought every single one for whatever reason. I couldn't tell you. Like, there was Street Fighter 2, and then Turbo, and then Super, and then, like, it just Championship Edition, and, like, Jesus, how many Street Fighter 2s are there for Super Nintendo? Like, there's a lot of different ones.
Couldn't really get into it. I don't know why. I think maybe it's just the combinations. You got to be sitting there learning all the different combos, and I'm like, I don't know. I don't really have. I like adventure. You know what I'm saying? I want a story. I want to have a goal to meet, and not just trying to be the best, combo spammer. So
yeah, no, I'm right there with you. Like, I think, like, again, for me, I think the only thing I liked about Mortal Kombat is just like, again, it was just like, we would fight or whatever, but then you get to the point where you do your fatalities, and it was just like, oh, cool, that's cool, and just, that's it. But like, well, yeah, when it comes to fighting games, I personally have never gotten into them, not because I think they're bad, because of course there are people out there who live and breathe fighting games, who have joystick, or, like, arcade sticks that they carry around with them and shit. But like, I just, again, I'm right there with you though, like, do I want to keep working on this one combo to get this one move and like do this and this and this, and like, no, like, like I really don't. I'd rather just do like some adventure or something with a story or something. And don't tell me fighting games have stories. That's bullshit. Like,
yeah. And you know what irritates the heck out of me? When you're in practice mode and you pull off this move and then you get into an actual game and just can't pull it off for anything. I'm like, I'm done. Yeah. Like, I'm sitting there going at it and I'm hitting the combos. I'm like, yeah, I got it. I'm about to get into this game and just go ham. And I can't pull it off. So it's like, forget it, man. I think
the number one thing that ruined so like, fighting games are fun. Like, again, cause like when you fuck around with your friends and stuff, it's like, you just, and especially when you're talking shit, like, it's just fun, right? I think what ruined fighting games for me was online. Cause like, you quickly realize how fucking awful you are at these games. Like, you're not good. Like, you're not. And again, the worst part is like, it's funny because when you think about things back in the day, obviously it wasn't, internet wasn't available, obviously. It wasn't even a thought. So it wasn't like we lived in the middle of the nowhere. It's just like, hey, the internet didn't exist. But what's funny is like, you always had that one kid at school that you were like, yo, man, he's really good at Street Fighter. You whoop everybody's ass in Street Fighter. He's the best. And then you would have like, I'm not gonna say like a rivalry, but it'd be like, oh man, the kid from this school, man, he said he's the best. And like, that's how it'd work. It'd be like a local, right? Or you go to the arcade and do that shit. The moment the internet opened up and was like, hey, here's fighting games. And then you quickly realize like, you think you're the best because you could beat your friends up. And then you go online and get stomped in the ground in 2 seconds, quickly loses its allure of it being fun anymore.
It's like, and it's so weird. It's like people from certain regions are just crazy good. And it's like, why is it that these people from these other countries just come through and just seem to wreck me all the time? Like, I only seem to have a chance against people that are closer to me. Like, what is this? What is there, like some special training they get to just be at these games? Like, what the heck?
Yeah, they have a different version of the game. You didn't know that? That's like, the AI is twice as hard, so they have to get better. They have to get good faster. No, yeah, I get what you're saying though, because I mean, there's just different. But the other thing too is like, there's different. Spin it the other way though. Like, yeah, they're good at fighting games. Give them some like first person shooter and see how well they do. You know what I mean? Like, there's certain knacks that people have for games that I don't get. Like, again, like my buddy Dito loves fighting games. He'll talk about all the different combo, like he'll talk about how intuitive, like just so much shit that I didn't even know existed in fighting games, like canceling out moves and this frame rate and like this, like hit detection. I'm like, Jesus fucking Christ, like you really know your shit. But again, like you get those type of people that are so into that, but then it's like, okay, cool. Let's talk about a different genre of different, games, and they may not know shit about it. So, I mean, everybody has their own unique taste in what they like.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like when you switch it to something else, it's like speaking another language, So, yeah, while I may not be so great in that, I can do damage in this one. Oh yeah,
yeah. There's only certain games that I feel the let me see, the confidence to fully shit talk, right? Like there's certain games I'm like, I have the utmost confidence in myself that I will be better than this person at this game. But if you give me, like, for example, my buddy Bryant plays NBA 2K. And he came over one day and he's like, yo, let's play 2K. I'm like, all right, cool. And he beat the brakes off me. Like, he made me look like I wasn't playing with both arms. Like, he fucked me up so bad. And I'm just like, I can't do this, man. Like you're just way too good at 2K. But then again, if we get into a game that, like, for example, like Gears of War, I played Gears of War so much. I was so confident, like, I would play people and be cool with it. That, if we played that, I'm sure I'd be better than him. But, dude, he would show up and just whoop my ass. But again, the last time I played a basketball game was NBA Jam. Yeah.
Whoa. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I don't play 2K. But I mean, again, he's on it all the fucking time. So he knows everything. And I'm just like looking stupid. I'm just running around just like, I don't even know what to do. Like, it happens though, man. Some people are just naturally good at certain games. Like, again, rhythm games for me, very similar. Like Rock Band, I am very confident I could beat a lot of people in Rock Band and their scores. But then, yeah, if you get me into certain fighting games, no, I will lose really badly. I try.
Yeah, all the time for me.
Yeah.
And I mean, in rhythm games, I can go ham up to medium. Like when you start the crossover, in the hard and you got to add in the fifth button. All right, I'm done.
Yeah, let's just put this shit away. That's what always happens, man. It's that fifth button, man, that fucks people up, man. As soon as they introduce that fifth button, you're like, whoa, hold on, time out.
Exactly.
There's 5. I forgot. And then, yeah, but then you start doing shit like, I remember I played Guitar Hero so much and I got so good so fast. I bought Rock Band to challenge myself. Because I wanted to do drums. I was like, well, I've gotten guitar down. Let me do drums. And then I got to the point where I was doing drums on Expert. And I was like, I don't know what it is. Rhythm games and me. Cool. I can't dance, so I don't know where the fuck the rhythm comes from. But yeah, I mean, it just works out well when I play games. So I'm just like, yeah, this works. As far as it goes, were you kind of, when you were growing up and everything, were you kind of the one in your household at least that was like the best at games? Obviously, because it was your games and your console and all that stuff. Were you kind of the one person to beat in the house?
No, I was not.
Very humble and honest. The answer is no.
No, I wish. But my sister, my oldest sister, she was always the best. She could like tear through, like Super Mario World. I think she could kill it in like 10 minutes. Like she was one of those people that could just run to do a speed run in the game. And I'm like, how? She knew all the ways to get to the secret levels and to get to Starland and all this stuff like that. I didn't know all that, but she used to just run it like crazy. Like you would think like she just studied the game, but right. She just like, and she didn't even have that much time on it. And so it's like, how do you learn all this stuff? But yeah, man, I mean, as far as that, I mean, I was decent. I feel like I was probably like second best in in fighting games. I was trash. But yeah, I was like, I was an average gamer around that time.
Right. So how many brothers and sisters did you have growing up? Like how many people were in the house playing? Cause I mean, that's also good though when you have siblings, but also you hear those kids that are like, oh, I was an only child. I'm like, I bet that was nice too. Like how many siblings did you have growing up?
It was me, 2 sisters, and 1 brother. He was older. He's the oldest of all of us.
Yeah, I mean, so was there a big age gap? Because that's the other thing I've noticed too is like some of the people I've talked to on the show, they'll be like, "Yeah, I had a brother. He was 9 years younger." I'm like, "Yeah, you guys aren't into the same shit at all. You guys are on very different wavelengths and everything." Were you close with them though? I mean, like obviously it sounds like they played a lot of games with you and stuff. So it's not like you were bored by yourself just at the house playing games.
Oh yeah. We were pretty close, especially like when we were younger. But yeah, there's a pretty big age gap between me and my brother. He's like 12 years older than me, something like that.
Yep, that happens, man. Like that's the problem. Is like I think like the certain age gap. Like I think I would say like if you have a sibling that's like 2 years older or younger, that's where it's cool. Because like for the most part, you're into stuff as they're getting into it or vice versa, so it's cool. But when you get people that are like 12 years difference, like they're into way different shit. Like you're a kid when they're 12. Like think about that shit. Like you're a baby and I'm 12 years old. We're going to be into very different things for a while. But I mean, certain things, video games tend to bring people together as long as that's still something that they're interested in when they're older. Cause unfortunately that happens. You get older and people fall out of games and stuff.
Yeah. Like he was in there in the garage fixing cars and stuff while I was playing games and stuff. So he was learning a whole bunch of different things. Like, and now I kind of wish like I would have went in there and asked him to kind of show me some things because I wish I had that knowledge about that. But
again, man, if he has video game questions, he probably comes to you, man. It's the same. It's either way. Were your parents pretty cool about, like, obviously your dad got you the game console, but I mean, I know there's parents out there who are like you should be out doing more things? Like, were your parents pretty encouraging about you playing games?
Yeah, I mean, I never really, they would pretty much just let me do what I wanted to do, but I mean, to a limit, you know what I mean? Yeah, so if I wanted to play video games, I mean, they're not going to let me play forever.
Right.
If I got a new game and they're going to give me my time, they're going to let me have my days of just playing it. And there was just like a really nice mix of, I want to go outside and ride my bike and I want to go play, but I also want to play games. So I never really had that where I was just so hard in the games where I didn't want to leave the screen. So they never really had to say anything about it.
I think that's the thing, right? As long as you have that balance and everything, I think people are cool because, you know, at least my parents, they didn't really necessarily, they didn't care, right? And they were in the same boat. Like, I had good grades in school. I wasn't a troublemaker. I you know, besides, you know, fighting with my sister, which is siblings fight. Sorry. Like, that shit happens. But either way, like, they were pretty cool with it. But I also wasn't, like you said, that was the same thing. Like, I was out playing basketball with my friends. I was out, you know, going. The funny thing is socializing back then was leaving the house to go to their house to play games. So, I mean, also, maybe they didn't realize how many games I was actually playing. But, like, yeah, I mean, as long as I think there was that social aspect of it, I mean, I didn't think they really cared too much. You know what I mean? They were just like, you know, he does well in school. He's got a game, whatever. They never gave me shit. So then you had mentioned you had a Super Nintendo, you had a Game Boy, obviously loving Nintendo and all that stuff. As you like were growing up and everything, where did you go the 64 route where like you just kind of like stuck with Nintendo, or did you kind of jump to PlayStation? Because I know a lot of people who jumped to PlayStation.
Yeah, that was my second console, original PlayStation. Yep. I played N64. I had a friend and he had one, so I don't know if it was that I'd already had enough time with it to the point where it was like, okay, I want to see what this is about. And so I kind of was leaning that way. I had my first experience with PlayStation when I didn't even know it existed. Like, someone said, hey, Joey, come over here and play this PlayStation. I'm like, what? What's a PlayStation? When they say PlayStation, I'm imagining in my head like some type of game center. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, it actually sounds like that. You think about it, PlayStation. And then, okay, so I see the console and it's like all this 3D graphics. And of course, my cousins and my brother, they're since they were like fighting game fanatics, they were the Street Fighter, just like addicts. So of course they got to jump on Tekken and whatever else was on PlayStation. So I'm seeing that and it's like, whoa, this looks crazy. So I think I got to play, what was that? The snowboarding game.
They had Cool Borders, which was, I know that was a really big one.
I believe that was it.
I'm trying to think of what else. I mean, for what I remember, honestly, that's like really the big one I remember, because I just remember a ton of demo discs having that, like a lot of demo. And then there was like, of course, Cool Borders 1 and 2 and 3 and whatever. Like they had like, of course, a sequel every year because that's how Sony did shit. Mm-hmm. But yeah, like that's what I remember as far as it goes with the snowboarding games. At least that was the one I remember. I'm sure there was other ones, but that's the one that just pops in my head.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, so it was pretty much that, and I think I got to maybe mess with, I don't know if Crash, I don't know if I had played Crash around that time, or was it available or whatever, but yeah, soon after that, I got a surprise. Like, I went home, and after I got time with that, I think my brother just saw like how awesome it was, and he actually got me my first PlayStation. And so I just came home from school and boom, there it was. He was setting it up, and it was like, whoa, like, you know, so that was a nice surprise, you know what I mean? That I actually had that relationship with my brother where he would actually get that for me for my birthday.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome, because my sisters to this day still haven't gotten me cool shit like that. So, yeah, I mean, like, yeah, that's a pretty amazing birthday gift, especially from your big brother and stuff. I mean, yeah, so it's like, dude, PlayStation, I remember PlayStation, like I said, I 64, obviously a lot of people were like, Nintendo 64, and I remember playing Mario 64 at a kiosk at a Toys R Us and being like, this is fucking insane. Like, this is nuts. This is like, this is 3D gaming and all that. But yeah, for whatever reason, man, I think it was just PlayStation, just Tomb Raider and like all these games I was just seeing, man. I was just like, I can't not get one of these and everything. So that was it. Like, so yeah. And also too, when it came to example, Street Fighter. Yeah, that wasn't on 64. Like they didn't give a shit about, like, so many people jumped ship, man, when PlayStation came out, cuz like all the Street Fighter alphas were all on PlayStation. Like, none of them were coming out for 64. So, I really don't even remember too many fight. I remember there was obviously some Mortal Kombats that came to 64, but like, dude, other than that, like, you can say Smash Brothers is a fighting game. Some people say it is, some people say it isn't. I personally think it is. I think it's just as, you know, it can get as crazy. It's weird, right? Because it's like, it is a fighting game, but not your traditional fighting game. I guess that's where people get thrown off by it. It's not your traditional fighting game, so that's why people get thrown off.
Yeah, I mean, it's not, you know, the fact that it's not just you and someone else and you got a health bar. It kind of changes it up, but it's still, it can be just as competitive. You just got to, you know.
Oh yeah.
You got to understand how it works.
Oh,
and absolutely. I think that's what throws people off.
Yeah, definitely. Like I what's funny is like I didn't even play 64 Smash. I played Melee. That was my first one, but I remember like it was a different, like, competitive level. Like, I remember just people, just in the scene that I was in, like, when I was playing games around that time, just people played Smash, but they weren't playing Smash to have fun. They were like, no, we're fucking playing Smash, let's go. Like, it was very competitive with that game. But yeah, dude, like, if you were a fighting game fanatic, dude, if you owned a 64, you were fucking sad, man. Like, you just probably did not enjoy it too much, because, again, I can't think of too many fighting games that went there. But PlayStation, though, on the other hand, yeah, that got pretty much every other. I mean, Tekken was born on PlayStation. You know what I mean? Like, let me rephrase that. It was an arcade game, I'm sure, beforehand, but PlayStation's where that home was. I remember demo discs of Tekken 2 and Tekken 3 just being a huge deal. So, of course, everybody forgets about Virtual Fighter, which was way back in the Genesis days, but that shit sucked. Like, Virtual Fighter still trash. I don't get, like, all those games that Sega tried to do on the Genesis that were like 3D-esque, you know, like Daytona USA, and then there's, dude, this Virtual Fighter is just trash. Like, it just, the movement and the fighting is just like, I guess it's cool because it was sort of 3D, but like, no, dude, those games were trash. But yeah, PlayStation, was pretty big then and everything. Did you, as, it's like, for example, like, a lot of people when it came to PlayStation, like, when they got that, it seemed to open up more genres for them. Like, did you, like, experiment with more games and everything, especially with PlayStation, just because there were so many games on it?
Somewhat, but I kind of stuck to what I knew. You know, I mean, I tried out a little bit of Final Fantasy VII. I didn't really get too deep into that. I didn't really understand RPGs back then. The idea of taking turns, turn-based battle systems, they kind of threw me off. I want to hit a button and actually see my character react like in the way that I expect. I want to hit slash, or I want to hit kick. I want, so that kind of, I wasn't really open to as much stuff as I was later on. Like, and even in the PS2, even into PS2, I kind of still stuck to what I knew and what I liked, which is a lot of platform adventure type games like Ratchet and Clank and Jak and Daxter and stuff like that. And so I did that pretty much throughout, even playing PlayStation, Crash, was it like Road Rash? I always loved racing games. So it didn't matter if it was on N64, I was playing Diddy Kong Racing, I was playing Mario Kart. So yeah, it was pretty much just those, kind of lighthearted, cartoony, adventure or just platforming games.
And dude, PlayStation 1 and 2 were full of those. Like,
they
had so many of them. Like
Ratchet, Jak, freaking Sly Cooper. Crash
and Spyro, and I mean, then you have your one-offs, like just random. Just there were so many of them, man. That was definitely a era where, I definitely experimented more with games. Like you said, Final Fantasy VII, what's funny is like Pokemon, kind of, a lot of people call Pokemon like Little Tyke's my first RPG. Like, it's like super basic, but it really is a turn-based game just as much as Final Fantasy is. So I think that's what drew me into that. I still didn't go nuts into, RPGs at the time, but like, I think that's what got me into Final Fantasy, is just because I was like, this is like Pokemon, but it's more adult. Sorta. Like, I guess. Like, it's just, you're not kids running around with, like, you know, pocket monsters. You're actually, like, fighting, like, huge, you know, monsters, and you're doing all this. I remember, like, that game being a huge deal, but it's not like that game turned me into, like, only wanting to play RPGs on PlayStation. Like, I remember, I was in the same boat with you, though, with, like, the action-adventure stuff. Like, I was more into Resident Evil and Silent Hill and Metal Gear and, you know, just those games all the fucking time. Like, just playing the hell out of those. I remember playing Resident Evil 2 over and over with my buddies, just taking turns. Yeah, I mean, we'd get to certain parts, and we had played it so much we knew what the puzzles were. We knew where to go get shit. But yeah, I just, you know, I think also, too, new genres even opened up. Because I don't remember, obviously, survival horror wasn't really a genre, but just at the time, with how realistic things looked, like, it opened up a lot of doors to just at least different games.
It's so crazy to say that looked realistic at some point, you know, because now it's
yeah.
pixelated mess.
Yeah, that was so the problem that I've noticed is, like, a lot of people, when it comes to older games, Nintendo, Super Nintendo, it looks amazing still. Like, it looks really cool. The pixel art looks great and all that shit, right? PlayStation 1 is where nostalgia glasses really fuck with your head, because you think the game looked way better than it did. And then you go back and look at it and you're like, yo, this is really bad. Like, the best example was Resident Evil 1, the first one. I played it on Xbox One. They had the bundle on sale, whatever, bought it. And I was like, man, this game looks really good, right? Now, again, I knew it was a remaster and I knew all that shit. I was like, yo, no, this looks good. And then what I kept forgetting was that was a remaster of the GameCube, which was a remaster. Like, that's just the HD version of the GameCube version. You know what I mean? I'm like, okay. And then I literally went, like, YouTube, PlayStation 1, Resident Evil gameplay, and I was fucking like, I can't believe that I thought this looked so real and good. Like, it's just not, it's so jarring. It's so pixelated. It's so, just such sharp edges on the polygons. It's just like, oh my God, dude, we thought this was the shit. Like, we thought games couldn't look better. Like,
it's like, it's crazy because some of those games, right? It's like when you look at them on YouTube, it's like, I don't know what they use to get the footage off of that, but it looks way worse than how it actually looks. And especially, like, I tried to play my PS2 on one of my, like, newer TVs I had, and it looked horrible. And then I put it on, like, one of my, the old TV I was using before I finally got an HD TV, like, years ago, and it looked fine. Like, it's like it's not meant to be played on that TV, and it just got real, I don't know, it got stretched and everything looks kind of smeared. I don't know if it was trying to fix up what it thought looked ugly or just wasn't compatible, but it just looks way, like, it's meant for certain technology, and we're kind of, I don't know if I know they have adapters where you can it can convert it into HD, and so it looks a lot better, but
right.
Yeah,
you're right, though, because the TVs back then, too, I mean, what's funny is it was the exact opposite when, you know, everybody had as standard def TVs. They were that 4:3 aspect ratio. Like, they just, you know, obviously they look different. But then, like, it was the exact opposite, because, like, when you went to HD, for example, like, I had a 360 hooked up to a regular standard definition TV, because back then I was too broke to have high def TV. And I remember some of the letters in, like, Dead Rising were so fucking tiny, I couldn't read it on the standard def TV. Like, it just wasn't formatted for that. I was like, I can't play this game because I can't see the fucking words. Like, I don't know what's going on. But then it's the exact opposite, though, because, like, you know, a nice newer TV, you hook up an old console to it, and sometimes it looks like trash. It just doesn't look good. It just, the way they distorted it, the way the picture looks, doesn't look good. But then you look at it on an old TV, and it actually looks better on that in some cases than it does like an HD TV. I know one of my buddies, Brandon, you know, because he's into retro gaming, he talks about, like, this particular model of TV that he's looking for. Like, no, this particular tube TV looks the best for retro games. And I'm like, that's too much for me. I'm not going to go searching around for this 1996 Sony tube TV with this model number. I'm like, again, that's where I know some people, though, that have a separate TV, though, like an old school TV for those games, just because for whatever reason they just tend to look better on it. I don't know.
I want that. I want an old school TV, like specifically just for a Super Nintendo, or I mean, unless I go get one of those new consoles that kind of, it makes everything crisp and they have like these filters that they put in it to kind of give it that old school look, or you can kind of make it, you know, you can kind of customize it to how it looks best on your new TV.
Right. Like
that. They actually have HDMI out and all that stuff. So unless I get one of those, I kind of just want, I still want one of those, because some of those, they just don't have those for it, or they just don't have the adapter. And to get an old school TV, it'd just be a lot cheaper anyway. But
yeah, just a little bit. Yeah. Instead of doing like, I know what you're talking about though. Cause like, I know some people have like the, Retrons and like, you know, those, and I mean, there's other things though that are just straight cheating, like save states. Like, sorry, that's cheating. Like
that's convenience, man.
It's
that's
convenience. It really is. In the day and age where you can save wherever you want. Like, do you think about this? Resident Evil. You couldn't save whenever you wanted. You couldn't, even if you were at a save point, you had to have a fucking ink ribbon to even save. Like, that's the kind of shit we had to deal with back in the day. Now it's just like, hit a button, save. You can save wherever you want in the world. It's great now. But like, you know, like imagine trying to tell somebody back then, like, hey, guess what? This is how we had to do things. They'd be like, what the fuck? Like, what are you talking about? You couldn't just save wherever you wanted? Like, that's the one thing that I worry. I'm not going to say I worry about, but like, for example, when they mentioned, you know, and like, for example, Super Nintendo and NES Classic, those are no-brainers, right? I was just like, yeah, of course. Like, you can easily do that. And I remember thinking Sony could do one, and with all the third-party relationships they still have with people, they could easily get all these games. And then, like, that PlayStation 1 or PlayStation Classic lineup came out, and I was just like, I think you guys missed, like, a lot of good games that people give a shit about. But it's just weird. Like, I don't get it. And then, you know, including, like, the old PlayStation controller instead of the DualShock, and, like, that kind of limits some games. Like, it's just really strange how they did that.
I think they did that because I think maybe they plan to maybe release a sequel, and they don't want to, I don't know, or maybe they didn't want people to actually figure out a way to make it work on PC. You know what I mean? So they don't want people to, okay, let me use these for also using it on like PC games or something. So they just kind of stripped it off there or something. Like, there has to be some reason, because some of the games just don't play as well if you don't have analog, and it's, unless they were just ultra cheap. Like, no one like is nostalgic that much that they actually want the lesser of the PlayStation controllers. I think they did that for some reason, to save money or to stop people from doing something that they didn't want.
Right.
Or maybe figuring out how to put other games that aren't supposed to work on it with that. And so they wanted to limit it somehow. And then as far as the game lineup, I'm thinking like a lot of the best games that were missing, they were owned by like Activision or something now.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, yeah, Activision's not going to give that away, especially because like Spyro and Crash, like they just released
the remasters.
Yep. So they want people to play it there and not the classic.
I mean, there's still like certain games that I was kind of thrown off by, like, you know, I was just thinking more of like if you look at the list and everything, like, for example, they have like Rainbow Six 1. Like, real quick, who gave a fuck about Rainbow Six back then, to the point where you were like, that needs, nobody in their mind, when they think back on PlayStation and their history and the nostalgia, nobody says, man, dude, remember Rainbow Six? Like, no one says that. And why that's on there, I couldn't tell you. And I mean, there's also certain things, like they have certain games on there that you know, for example, you have Twisted Metal 1. Like, real quick, you know 2 and 3 were better. Like, you know they were better. And then, you know, some of the games they did right on, like they have Tekken 3, which is the correct answer. Like, you don't put Tekken 1 on there. You have to put like Tekken 3 on there. But then there's just certain other games that I was just kind of weirded out by, like, you know, they have Destruction Derby. Like, I'm sorry, I don't remember that being a big PlayStation classic. Like, so I'm serious. Like that's not one. Sorry. Like, you could have swapped that with a different game, or what? Like, you're telling, and again, of course, you got your good Final Fantasy 7, Metal Gear, Resident Evil 1, Siphon Filter. Like, I get that, but I was just like, some of those games I was just kind of weirded out by. Whereas, like, if you look at the Super Nintendo Classic, the SNES Classic, that thing is a fucking monster lineup. Like, that lineup is ridiculous. It is so, like, that's the thing. Like, when you look at that lineup, you go, yeah, those are all friggin' classics. Like, those are games you immediately think about when you see that. Like, there's nothing in your head that you go, oh, that's kind of questionable. Like, they actually got, like, Final Fantasies. They got Mario RPG. They got Chrono. Like, they got all the good games. Like, dude, I don't know, man. PlayStation Classic's cool, and I'm 100% convinced N64 Classic's never going to happen. Just because you were talking about how Activision owns the license for Crash and Spyro, and that's... No, dude, 64 is a disaster. Like, there's so many third-party games that would never happen on the system that you would have to fill it with N64 games, and I don't think there's enough to make a classic console.
I mean, it's like a lot of those classics, though, right? They're rare, and not rare, but I got you. From rare.
Hard to find, yes.
They are from Rare, and they have a pretty decent relationship with Microsoft. So it's like, I think they can make that happen. I could see them partnering up to have Microsoft bring some of those games like Diddy Kong Racing and what other games? I can't think of them right now, but I know there's some.
Well, I mean, Rare owned, Banjo-Kazooie, Jet Force Gemini, Diddy Kong Racing, Donkey Kong 64. Like, those were all Rare games. So, yeah, I mean, and you're right, though, like, that Microsoft and Nintendo are starting to have a better relationship. So, you know, I was shocked as shit that Banjo wasn't in Smash. Like, I almost thought that was a shoo-in. Like, yeah, Banjo's gonna be in Smash. Like, because again, like, they talked about it for so long, and I'm like, Microsoft, and even Phil Spencer was like, yeah, sure, like, go ahead. Like, I don't think, you know, Phil's not one of those people that's gonna be like, no, we're Microsoft, we can't no, like, dude, whatever. He'd be like, yeah, go ahead and put somebody from, you know, especially, it would be, Banjo's the easiest thing. Like, it's a long shot for them to be like, put Master Chief in Smash. They would never fucking do that. But it'd be like, hey, Banjo makes complete sense. Microsoft happens to own it now. You could easily do that. But, you know, but other things, though, too, for example, on N64, all the awesome wrestling games, none of that would happen. Turok, not happening. GoldenEye was done by Rare, but like, that's another license nightmare because it's like, oh, that's GoldenEye, you know, like, trying to get that license to happen again. Perfect Dark could happen, but again, like, I think the big part of the 64 was like sitting around playing with people, and I doubt they're going to put out a 64 Classic with 4 controllers.
And then there is Rare Replay, so I wonder how much that would dip into it. I mean, I guess people would go back to it just because nostalgia, but like, how much? Like, how many people that actually played those games already on Rare Replay within, like, okay, yeah, I want to play them again, but with
this controller.
Yeah.
I mean, like, that's the big thing, is like, this controller, I don't know if it's going to bring people back to that point or anything, but yeah, I mean, as far as it goes, though, with the classic games and everything, I think PlayStation, and it's harder because, like I said, you're going to go back and look at some of those PlayStation games and you go, man, graphically, this is rough, dude. Like, this is really, man, like, this is a rough look and everything. Like, I remember some of the people that were doing reviews of the PlayStation Classic were saying that. They were just like, man, like, this is kind of crazy. Like, they don't hold up that well. But also, I think that's just going to be games from that time frame. They're not going to hold up as well as they do now, because games look way better now. But I mean, as long as you go in there just with an open mind and going, hey, these games were fun, and you can still play them. Who are you going to hurt, dude? It's not going to hurt anybody. You just don't go in there expecting games to look as good as you think they did, because I guarantee they don't.
Oh yeah, especially on PlayStation. It's like, when I remember PlayStation games, it's like I remember them looking as good as like early PS2 games.
Right, exactly. But you forget that like PS2 came out and people were like, holy shit, look at this. Like, it's just, yeah, again, it's your brain, man. It's playing tricks on you.
Mm-hmm. It's a mess.
So then, as far as it goes, when it comes to things like, so you got PlayStation, and then I'm assuming you just went down the PlayStation, like you said, you got PS2, and you just kind of like started going there. Did you ever get into a point in time when you weren't playing games as often? Did you ever get into a point where you were like, other hobbies were taking up your time and you were just like, I don't have time to play games anymore?
That was like way later on. Like, I mean, because I ended up getting, after that, it was Dreamcast and GameCube and PlayStation, PS2, and then I think no. For years, I was playing PS2 games because I didn't get PS2 for a long time. I had GameCube, and there just wasn't that much on there for me to play. I got that for Smash Bros. And then I thought there was going to be a whole bunch, and there were a few games here and there, but it just wasn't as much as PlayStation. And then so once I got a PS2, even after PS3 came out, I couldn't afford one of those. So that just didn't happen for a while. But I was catching up on all those older games, and I was having the greatest time. So for years and years and years and years, I think up until like 2011, and then I got a PS3. I was just killing those for years. And years.
Just going through all the PS2 catalog, basically. Just like,
yeah.
I mean, the thing is, too, though, is like, especially when they went the route of like, this plays PS1 games as well, like, that box could play so much good shit. Like, there was nothing wrong you could do with that thing. Like, and of course, like, people were buying it way more than GameCube and Xbox. So, I mean, a lot of the games were going there first. And, you know, like, there was nothing really wrong you could do if you had a PS2. Like, a lot of people. And, of course, like I said, though, with GameCube, with GameCube, that was, like, around that time, I was actually working at a video game store. So I got to the point where I did eventually own all three. But, like, my GameCube, I mean, there was the thing that's shitty is like that was definitely around the time when like in order to fully enjoy what games had to offer, you literally had to have all three consoles. But if you didn't, it wasn't like the end of the world, right? If you didn't have a GameCube, it wasn't like, oh my God, I'm missing out on all this shit. Yeah, there were good games, but also there was good Xbox games, there was good GameCube games, but PlayStation 2 had a lot of shit. Like just, just so many games were going to it. So, also there was tons of game franchises that went there that never went to Xbox. Example, Kingdom Hearts. Thanks a lot, now it's coming there, but yeah. But
which is so weird because it's like, okay, you got Kingdom Hearts 3 going to Xbox. Where's the collection?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't they do that? Why wouldn't you try to make it so? Because there are people that have just been Xbox since day one and they never got a chance to play it. So why would you set them up to come in on one of the most confusing game series ever on part 3? Well, whatever.
Yeah, as a very big Kingdom Hearts fan, when I read it was going to Xbox, I was quite happy because I was just like, hey, I get a chance to play. Because I just prefer Xbox as a general. I like the controller. I like the interface. I like my friends and party chats and all that shit. Whatever. When I found out it was going to Xbox, I immediately, because they announced it at the Sony conference that year, and I was like, of course, it's going to PS4. And then like the next day, the press release came out like, oh, by the way, it's coming to Xbox One, and I was like, holy fucking, like I was freaking out. I was like, no shit, I don't even need to buy a PS4 now. I'm good. Like at the time, I was like, I don't give a shit about anything else. Kingdom Hearts is coming on Xbox. I'm good. And then like the collection came out on PlayStation 4, and I'm like, all right, that's a really good idea because Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2 have like been out for like 10 years now. People need to catch up on them. That's good. Where's it on Xbox? And I'm just like, okay. And then they just did an Xbox conference, and should tell you when this got recorded. They did that conference, and one of the co-creators of Kingdom Hearts was going to be there, and I'm like, here it is, man. Right before this comes out, they're going to announce the collection's coming out for Xbox, so you can catch up on all the shit before Kingdom Hearts supposedly comes out in 2 months. I was like, here it comes. And they just showed some fucking trailer with Winnie the Pooh, and I was like, you are killing me right now. Like, this was your time right now to tell people the collection's coming on Xbox, and it never did.
Yeah, it's never happening.
I'm 100% convinced. And I mean, they even have a game now. They released a game compilation called The Story So Far on PlayStation 4 that literally has 1.5, 2.5, and 2.8. I'm like,
that's amazing. I want that.
You could. It's very frustrating that didn't go to Xbox, but maybe one day. I don't know. Like we'll see what happens. So as far as it goes, like you said, like you know, by the way, nobody was able to afford a PS3. It wasn't just you. Don't worry. Like those cocky assholes were like, you'll get a second job to pay for this. All right, Sony. Yeah, sure we will. I'm sure we will. So
you know, I never answered. I never answered your question. You were asking me, was there a time?
Yes. What? Yeah. So was that? I mean, that was kind of a big time, but also too, like you said though, you didn't really necessarily stop playing games like when that, because you had PS2 and you kind of just went back and did that. But yeah. So what was the time where you stopped playing games?
The time that I stopped playing games it was more recent. Like I think maybe 2015 to like now. Like I recently started getting back into games a little bit, but there'd just be months where my consoles would basically be like for watching YouTube videos. I watch Netflix and they just be kind of sitting there because there was just gaming just felt stale. Like everything that was coming out, it was like, yeah, it looks nice and glossy, a little bit glossier than the last one that came out, but it basically seems like everything I've seen it, you know. I think I tried to get into stuff here and there. I played a little bit of Mass Effect Andromeda, which I mean, I still think people went way too hard on that, but I picked that up dirt cheap and it's just been sitting there. And, I don't know. It's just, I haven't been able to really get invested in a game in a long time. Not like I did back in the day with, like Assassin's Creed. Like Assassin's Creed was like one of my favorite series. I killed like 5 games in just months.
It's just like you went out of the tear and just started going through all of them.
Oh yeah. Somebody told me about it. They were like, because I put a tweet out years ago. It was like, what series should I get started in? I have nothing else to play. I need something else to start. And someone suggested the Batman Arkham series. But at that point, I think just Arkham Asylum and Arkham City had been out. And so I picked that up. They had a 3 for $20 deal or 3 for $15 deal or whatever on used games at GameStop. I went and picked that one up. Picked up Assassin's Creed 1, Arkham Asylum, and I can't remember what the third one is. It might have been something like Dark Void or something like that, which
the third, you know what it sounds like? It sounds like you needed a third game and went, oh fuck, I'll just grab this one. Just like walked out.
Look, visually that game, like if you're just checking out the trailer, it looks really good. And when you're just playing the game, some of the animations can be a little stale, but I like the look of it. Right. And it actually wasn't a bad game. I played it all the way through. It wasn't great at all. It was extremely average.
Right.
But if you just wanted something to play and maybe something a little bit different, it was pretty good.
Right. It's just funny because you put it like I said, you got the Arkham games, which are good. You got Assassin's Creed, which is good. And Dark Void. It was just like you said. It was like, it wasn't great. It was just the most average game you could have gotten as that third thing.
Yeah. It was like, I'm telling you, it was like, you know what? No. It wasn't. That wasn't the third one. I ended up getting Dark Void for like $1 and some change in the used game section. The third one, I can't remember what that was, but I know I got that dirt sheet. I saw it and I was like, what? I've been wanting to play this for a minute. Why not? And it looked almost brand new. The disc was in good shape. I guess the person didn't really touch it too much. But
I was going to say, they probably got it and went, never mind. And just probably went to GameStop right away. Unfortunately, sometimes, as a person who worked at a game store, that sometimes would happen. Like, that would happen where a game, maybe it wasn't the guy's cup of tea, right? I remember people literally buying games and coming back that day and going, I need to trade this in. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, you won't give it 24 hours. like it's so not you that you get rid of it less than 24 hours later. And there's I'm like, all right. I mean, here you go. And then when people would come in and ask for a game, I'm like, we have a used one. They're like, why? Like that was their immediate question. Like, what do you mean you have a used one? I'm like, some dude just didn't like it and wanted to get rid of it.
Hey man, sometimes you just know. Like I had a game. I got was it Pokemon Coliseum? I remember it's crazy. Like this isn't directly related, but it's like this is the time where I thought I knew, like I don't like this. I want to take it back. It's not fun at all. And the crazy thing is if I would have actually gone with that, I would have missed out on what turned out to be a really, really good game, because I just didn't give it enough time. I was thinking you turn it on, you start it up, and it's just going to be one of the best games ever. And it was good. It wasn't good at that first to me. I didn't like it at all. But after I played it, I thought like it was one of the best games ever. And I stayed up for just night after night after night, just playing it. I was a kid back when Pokemon Coliseum came out. But, right. But man, I was like, this is trash. Like I regret buying this mess. I wish, but there, actually to say like anything that was actually just so bad, I just didn't want it. I don't think I ever bought a game that was just literally that bad.
Yeah.
Except, and it's not even that bad, but this is the game that I've had like the most back and forth. Like I feel like I got robbed, but I still kind of want to play it. Destiny. Like I bought that game like 3 times. Because I played it, I took it back, and I'm like, yeah, I'm glad I'm rid of that trash. I don't ever want to play it again. And then some people, my friends, and be like, oh, that new expansion came out. Are you gonna play it? And I'm like, I'm not messing with that. And then they convince me, and I go buy it, and then it's just, I feel like I should be ashamed of myself, and I just give my money, and I'm like, yeah, all right, I got it. And I'm playing for a little bit, and then I take it back again. And I did the same thing. I bought Destiny 3 times, and I bought Destiny 2 twice. Destiny. No. I bought Destiny 2 once, took it back, and then I said I was done forever. And then a family member bought me the Forsaken collection because he wanted me to play with him.
It's like, yeah, I mean, that kind of ties in. I was going to say, like, one of the questions I've been trying to ask everybody is, what's the worst game you bought with your own money? And that's a pretty good answer. I literally was in the same boat. I bought Destiny 1, and it got so boring so fast. And, of course, this is before all the expansions and all that shit. But I gave it a week, and I was just like, I can't do this. I'm good. Like, I don't, like, I love Bungie. They made Halo. They made, like, some of my favorite games ever. And I wanted to like it, but hearing that fucking dude tell me to watch him while he does some shit at this place over and over and over again, I was like, I can't do this. Like, this is stupid. So I just kind of was like, no, I'm done with this. And I've done that. Just Cause 3 was another one that it wasn't a bad game, but the problem was that on the original Xbox One, like the OG Xbox One, it ran like fucking trash. It was not good. It was just running so poorly. It was sketchy all over, and I was just like, yeah, I'm good. I admitted defeat, basically. I was like, I fucked up. I got this. I shouldn't have. And I just went around and traded it right back in without like playing more than maybe like 2 hours of it. I was like, I'm not waiting for a patch. I'm not bothering. And it's funny you mentioned Destiny 2 because for whatever reason, don't ask me why, I bought Shadow of the Tomb Raider, and they gave me Destiny 2 for free.
On what?
For Xbox. Like, they just gave it to me. They were just like, hey, guess what? If you buy Shadow of the Tomb Raider this week, you get Destiny 2 for free. And I'm like, okay. Like, I won't turn down a free game. Maybe my son will like it. Sure. But, dude, Destiny's Activision. Nothing to do with Tomb Raider. Like, why they were giving away?
Oh, yeah. Because they're trying to, the thing is right now, they're just trying to get Destiny 2 in everybody's hands. Like, yeah. It's free. It's free on PC right now. They gave it away as I think a PS Plus game.
Yep.
Like a month ago. And then what was they were like giving it away on Xbox if you bought a game at Best Buy. So that's how you got it, right?
Yeah, that's how I got it. Yeah, I bought Shadow of the Tomb Raider, and they were just like, here's Destiny 2. I'm like, I didn't ask for this shit, but okay, I guess I'll take it. Like,
it's only like worth $10 or less right now.
Yeah, I was like, I guess, but yeah, you're right though. Like, all they're trying to do is get that base game into anybody's hands, so that way people can go buy an expansion for it. And apparently, due to certain like sales things that have come out, it hasn't worked. like people still aren't too happy with the game, but I mean, I don't know, man. Like, again, everybody tells me, oh man, this expansion came out and it's awesome. Like, I'm sure it is, but I'm good.
It's okay.
It burned me. I'm good. I don't need to worry about it. So, well, I mean, you kind of mentioned how your gaming habits are like today. So, I mean, honestly, so you're still playing games, but you're just not as active as you were when you were younger. Or is that kind of like, or are you back into it to where you're like into it as much as you were before?
I'm back into it a decent amount. I mean, I was kind of going ham on Forza Horizon 4.
Yeah, you were, because that fucking game is awesome.
It is pretty good, man. I was collecting cars but after I was having some online issues with that game. Like, I couldn't connect with anybody. Every race I would start up and it would search, and I just get kicked back into like single player. And that would happen with everybody. Like, everybody I was playing with, it's like we couldn't get a regular game with other people. It would just pretty much just be me, maybe two other people I was actually playing with. Like, they joined my party and we're actually, roaming around. And then plus a whole bunch of other, what do you call them?
Are you talking about the drivatars where they're just like AI driving around?
Yeah, so it'd be those and a whole bunch of, not a whole bunch, but like 2 or 3 other people. So I could never actually get a game. And I was thinking, okay, well, maybe it's because I haven't unlocked all the seasons or something. And so, and it just never really fixed itself. And I think a lot of people were having that because every time I would actually play with somebody, they would talk about the same thing. And so that kind of got a little bit old after a while. So it was like, I can't actually just run into any race and just go play with anybody. So it's like, I'm tired of just playing against drivatars, so that kind of died after a while, unfortunately. Right. But so, yeah, it was that. I started playing Mass Effect 1 and I'm back into Destiny, which, okay, it's not bad. I mean, I got it free. So that's probably another reason why it's not so bad, right? Because my uncle.
Shit on free, man. Like, it's hard to say a free game is trash. Like, it's really hard to.
Yeah. You can't, because it's like, well, even if it wasn't that great, it's like, I didn't have to lose any money for it. So it's like, I didn't have to, take a L on that.
Right, exactly.
If I don't like it, it sits on the shelf, whatever. But it actually wasn't too bad. I mean, they fixed some stuff. They gave, some new lore but they still haven't really gotten that great at storytelling. You could tell like a lot of this stuff is either rushed or they're just, I don't know what it is. Like, I don't know if Activision is like, no, we can't give them too much. You got to hold that off for the next expansion. But it's just not living up to the hype that I heard about during the Halo days. Like, when I first played Destiny, I was thinking,
this is the next Halo.
I was thinking, okay, well, I heard so much good stuff about this. It's going to be amazing. It's going to be like a Mass Effect level story. And no.
That's just so bumming, because literally, like, Bungie with Halo 2 story, which Halo 2 story got cut short, the cliffhanger ending or whatever. But then, like if you just look at the story arc of like 1, 2, and 3, it's so fucking good. And then, like, Reach was really good and ODST was good. I'm like, you guys don't fuck things up usually. Like, you guys are pretty good. And like, here's what I'll say: Destiny's shooting is still on point. Like, they still do a very good job with shooting. Like, they know how to make a shooter from the gameplay side of things. But yeah, the story was just so odd, and I was just like, it got hyped so much because everybody's like, yo, Bungie's finally getting away from Xbox, they're being a multi-platform. And I mean, it was like, okay. But then you get those people though that play the shit out of Destiny 2, man, and they think it's the shit, and like, all right, man, like, that's cool, dude. So that happens from time to time.
Yeah, and they're holding out hope that it's just going to get better and better and better. And they're like, oh, they learned their lesson, and Destiny 3 is going to be so much better. And it's like, are you serious?
Stop fucking talking right now. It's like, like, you have that syndrome where you're just like, you can't admit when something's bad. Like, hey, please just admit you fucked up. You made a bad choice. It's okay. We've all done it in life. Like, just please just say that.
I can't do it. I can't do it anymore. Like, you see, like, you heard me talk about, I bought and sold Destiny 1 like 3 times, and then all the back and forth with Destiny 2. Like, I can't do it again and just be like, okay, hopefully they'll learn their lesson, because though it didn't sell like they thought, I wouldn't be surprised if they still try to, or maybe they're forced by Activision to push some more of that same bull crap into it as they did this time. And maybe they'll completely destroy all of your content and you'll have to gain it all back again in some cheap way. Or I don't know. I'm just not about to go through it again.
No, we're good. We've learned our lesson with Destiny. We don't need to go back to that and everything. If people wanted to check you out in the internet or check out any of the cool things that you do, where would they go do that?
I mean, you can check me out on Twitter, twitter.com/SkywardKing. And you can check me out on the Skyward Cast, my podcast that I do with Delvin Cox. We talk about everything from politics to video games, movies, TV, whatever is on our mind, world events, all that good stuff. It's that's where you can find me. And I hope you all check it out and follow me on Twitter.
And of course, I'll have links in the show notes for all of the above. So if people want to check out any of the cool things he does with Delvin, who's also been a guest on the show, I'll have links in the show notes for everybody. So, dude, thank you so much for being on the show. Thank you for sharing all your stories with me, man. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you for having me on, man. It's been a cool time.
All right. And again, thank you, Joey, for being on the show. If you guys want to check him out on Twitter, feel free to check him out at Skyward King. And of course, the podcast, at the Skyward Cast. So you can feel free to check him out there with Delvin, who has also been a guest on the show. If you guys want to be on the show just like he was, go ahead and send me a tweet at MitchPower1116 on Twitter, or at the podcast Twitter page, which is at GUG Podcast on Twitter. Of course, we have a YouTube channel. Just go ahead and search up GUG Podcast on YouTube. We have a Facebook group, Growing Up Gaming. Just search that up on Facebook, as well as the website, gugpodcast.com. Thank you guys so much for returning each and every week to the show. Hopefully, like I said, you're subscribing there, leaving a review on iTunes. I don't even know if Google Play has reviews, but if they do, that'd be nice too. Subscribing on Spotify for the repeat listens. I don't really know how any of this stuff works. As long as you guys are enjoying the show, that's all that matters to me. Leave me any feedback you guys have, good or bad. Thank you guys again for listening, and I will catch you guys next week with another new episode. See ya.